What was once the most lush, well taken care of lawn is now one of the most ugliest, overgrown messes in this neighborhood. Yesterday I was driving by and I noticed this one right here. Knocked on the door, nobody answered, so I left a note just letting them know that I'd like to help them out and cut their yard for free. And they messaged me back this morning saying they'd be more than grateful if I were to help them out and tackle this mess. The grass here has definitely gone to seed. It is about a foot and a half tall. They got bushes that need to be rounded up and trimmed. Beds, there's a bed here that needs to be cleaned up. We'll expose that. And of course some down limbs that need to be cut up and hauled away. I don't know what all this is, but it looks dead and we need to cut that back. Of course, a fence line, behind the fence line, all that needs to be trimmed. As we travel to the back, as you can see, it's all grass seed. The backyard is actually decent size. A little patio section over here and another what looks like a bed. We'll clean up the cement blocks here, expose the bed a little bit. Of course, got dandelions. Now this is what I don't like when, you know, big construction companies, they'll put up their own fence, you know, and then they'll leave a section of like no man's land where you can't even reach in there and trim. The backyard is an overgrown mess. All this needs to be cleaned up. I'm actually glad they messaged me back because not a lot of people message back. I've had some actually good success with leaving notes, but again, some people are still skeptical here in 2026. Stuff here is about up to my waist. And of course, we got all these low hanging branches that also need to be cut back. So plenty of work to do here on this property. Check this out. It's a decent project. To most, this is very overwhelming, and with this man's busy schedule, he was unable to get it done. And that's the whole reason why the channel exists, is to help everybody and anybody that has an overgrown lawn. Whether they look like they're able-bodied and they can do it themselves, it doesn't matter to me. Everybody gets a chance in life, and everybody gets a chance to experience the Phil's Lawn Care Makeover. So without any further delay, let's get our equipment out and get to work. One thing nobody tells you when you start your own business is you can be making a lot of money and still be broke. And I learned that the hard way. There was a period of time where work just kept coming in and I felt like I was busy nonstop. And honestly, just like everybody else, I thought that meant everything was going great. But in reality, I had no system. Money was coming in and money was headed out. And I was basically hoping that there was still a little bit of money left at the end of the month to pay the bills. And that gets stressful real quick, especially when you got equipment breakdowns, fuel expenses, payroll and taxes. All of that adds up real quick. And that's why I like what Relay is doing. It's a business banking platform for people actually running businesses day to day. The biggest thing for me is being able to separate everything out. Instead of one account doing everything, you can separate different checking accounts so that way you have one for payroll, for taxes, savings, and then whatever else you need. So now when the money rolls in, you know exactly where it's supposed to go. But being able to manage payments, receipts, invoices, all in one place makes life so much easier. Once you actually get organized financially, you stop feeling behind all the time. You make better decisions, you plan better, and of course, your business feels more stable. Who doesn't want a stabilized business, right? So if you're running your business and trying to get more control of your finances, I will have a link in the description where you guys can check Relay out for yourself and see if it's a fit for you. Thank you so much to Relay for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the makeover. You guys know why people are throwing trash here? They think that since it's not maintained, they're just able to throw trash and they can hide it easy in the tall grass. But like, I mean, come on. I found dirty diapers, milk cartons, bags. Maybe some of this stuff flew from people's trash cans on windy days, but either way, still needs to be cleaned up. And it just belong and out of the yard. Being a dog owner, I am more than sure that this is something for like a bone for dogs to chew on. But I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. These pine sprays are heavy. that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps it up for this property. I barely got my equipment back in. Look at this. Got a bunch of tree limbs and of course a bunch of grass. We got the wheelbarrow in the back, blower on top, and of course the lawnmower, which I had to, it was really tight, really tight of a fitting. But I did not want to come back for it, so I just jammed it in. We do what we do. What this lawn needs is a good water, overseed, and a good fertilize. It is so dry, and there's also a bunch of leaves under it. It looks like the leaves haven't been, you know, picked up in quite a few years. We also cleaned up the fence line and the no man's land, of course, because who else is gonna do it, right? All the way around. And even that. And then elevated the pine tree, and then of course just bagged up, striped up the lawn and blew off his patio. Simple enough, right? That's just all it takes. I was here for like 3-4 hours. Not too bad of a project, but definitely enjoying the shade right here. Underneath these giant dead emerald arborvitae. Sad to see them go. There's a lot of dead, but there's still some green, so maybe with a good adequate amount of water they will spring back up and green up. But guys, we've been dealing, it's still May right now, and we've been dealing with a drought, a record drought here in Idaho. So don't know what's going on, man. We had a mild winter and we've been getting barely any rain, so lawns are drying out. Even this guy is here. This apartment complex, the lawns are drying out. If people aren't watering, that's just what happens right now, even in May. So we're praying for rain, lots of it. Everybody there on the East Coast, shout out to you guys. You guys are lucky. Enjoy it because we need it. So send it our way. I know it's a bit impossible, but that's just what we're needing right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. The owner is not home, but he did say he will text me and let me know what he thinks about it. Of course, I think he's gonna love it. So thank you again so much for tuning in. Can't do this without you guys. Take care. God bless you. I'm off to the dump. We'll see you in the next one, and enjoy these before and after pictures.